They uncovered 5 shocking Bible stories that challenge everything you thought was real. Few knew what truly happened that night in the depths of Egypt. The air crackled with tension as the Israelites prepared to leave, their hearts pounding, pulses racing with fear and excitement. Had they really witnessed the unimaginable? The final plague loomed like a dark storm on the horizon, threatening to sweep away everything familiar. As the clock neared midnight, families huddled tight, gripping the blood-stained doorposts. The memory of the lamb's sacrifice lingered in the air, a bittersweet mix of hope and despair. Angels of death fluttered like ominous shadows, a terrifying truth hanging over their heads. Could faith truly protect them? This night would change everything. Fast forward to the wilderness. Was it a simple rock? They could hear the whispers among the crowd, some calling it a miracle, others a trick. Water gushed forth from stone without warning. There was no rain for ages. Was it possible to summon life from the lifeless? Their throats raw, they drank deeply from the rushing stream, yet doubts twisted in their minds. Who was truly leading them? Then came the moment of sheer disbelief at the foot of Sinai. Lightning flashed. The earth trembled. Moses stood there, fading into the shadows of something grand, an unseen presence demanding obedience. Would they dare to turn back, to abandon the one who spoke with fire? The whispers of rebellion swirled like smoke, igniting conflict among the tribes. What would happen if they said no? And when the golden calf appeared, the air thickened. Anger erupted, fists clenched, cries of betrayal filled the void. "This is our God!" they shouted. Flames danced as offerings were made, and the sound of celebration rang through the camp, drowning out reason. Yet, amidst the chaos, could they sense the deepening void where faith once thrived? Was there hope for the doubters? Or had they strayed too far? As the shattered tablets lay on the ground, splintered like their trust, a question hung heavy, weighing upon their hearts. What would it take to restore faith? To mend what was broken? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air in the camp grew thick with uncertainty as Moses, his face radiant from his communion with the divine, descended the mountain once more. The dust at his feet seemed to whisper the weight of divine expectation. He clutched the new tablets, the eternal covenant, and his heart wavered with both hope and trepidation. Would the Israelites receive these laws as sacred, or would their hearts remain hardened? When he reached the valley, a sight of total disarray met him. The people, intoxicated by their own creation, danced around the golden calf, blind to the brokenness they were fostering. How had they transformed so quickly from followers of the one true God to worshippers of an idol? Moses' heart ached as he saw their unchecked revelry, the very essence of their identity slipping through their fingers like sand. "Behold," he bellowed, his voice echoing through the chaos, demanding attention. The merriment faltered, eyes drawn to the fiery passion in his stance. Could they not see? "You have turned aside so soon from the path laid before you." He held the tablets aloft, their divine inscriptions glimmering in the firelight, a beacon of hope amidst a storm of despair. The crowd fell silent, faces painted with shame and confusion. They had sought something tangible to hold, forgetting the profound truth they had experienced just days prior. Witnessing plagues that shook the foundations of their captors, parting seas that led them into safety, these were the signs of an unfathomable God. Yet, as Moses spoke, the shadows of self-doubt loomed larger. What would lead you to forsake the covenant? Have you not tasted the sweetness of freedom? He implored them to remember the bitter herbs, the tears of longing, the crushing weight of bondage. And still you turn to a lifeless creation? What do you seek in this illusion? A murmur rippled through the crowd, uncertainty mingling with regret. Some began to weep, the deeper question gnawed at their spirits. Had they truly become what they once despised? Were they forsaking the gift of faith for the illusion of control? In that moment, the Lord spoke to Moses, words wrapped in gravity and longing. This people is stubborn. Yet I will not abandon them, I will teach them. Tell them, my heart aches for their return, for they are lost in the mire of their own making. Moses, overwhelmed and humbled by the enormity of his task, faced them again. The Holy One longs for you. With trembling hands and broken hearts, will you turn back? He whispers for your love, not your fear. To journey onward, we must seek him anew. The questions stirred within them, conflicting and raw. Could they be forgiven? Was there a path back to the promise? And as their flickering faith ignited the glimmers of hope in their hearts, a more profound burden settled upon them. What would it take to truly return, to embrace a God who held the keys to redemption while watching from a distance? The dawn would break anew, but would it herald restoration or the echoes of betrayal? The lingering questions hung heavy in the air. In our search for certainty, have we sometimes turned away from what is truly real? And when faced with our failures, how do we begin to trust again? Moses stood before the people, the divine tablets in his hand like precious treasures that glinted with the light of holiness. The morning sun began to rise, casting golden rays over the assembly, illuminating the shameful faces of those caught in the web of their transgression. The air, once filled with joyous laughter, was now thick with unspoken words and haunting regret. He feared they had strayed too far from the heart of the covenant. As silence deepened, a voice broke through a young man, trembling yet emboldened by the timbre of Moses' call. What must we do to turn back? His question broke like waves upon the shore of despair, a desperate yearning for the possibility of forgiveness. With steadfast resolve, Moses stepped closer, lowering the tablets so they rested upon his knees. The path is steep, but it begins with acknowledgement. We must not shy away from our fault, but embrace it. But even as he spoke, his own heart wrestled with the enormity of their misstep. The people had tasted freedom only to grasp at shadows. How could they reclaim their identity? A woman, voice cracking with pain, chimed in, "Is it too late for us? Can we truly be made whole again?" Her hands were clenched tightly, as though holding on to hope and fear in equal measure. In her gaze, Moses saw the reflection of his own struggle. He felt torn between love for these people and the divine mandate he had received. The Almighty's mercy, he replied, his voice steady, is like the dawn that breaks after the darkest nights. It is unfathomable and steadfast. But you must choose to seek it. Return to him with all your heart, put away the foreign gods, and he will guide you back. The crowd stirred again, a flutter of hope taking flight amongst the uncertainty. Yet another voice emerged, an elder whose brow was etched with lines of sorrow and wisdom. But what if our return is met with rejection? What if our past binds us like chains? His question resonated with fear, the shadows of their collective guilt casting doubt upon the possibility of restoration. Moses closed his eyes for a moment, invoking the memory of God's unwavering love, a love that persisted despite their failings. The Lord does not wish for you to be crushed under the weight of what you have done. He desires that you rise again, renewed. He is not a deity of wrath, but of profound longing. If only you would step forward in faith. As the words settled among them, Moses caught sight of the reflection of their former selves, their valor amidst trials, the strength shown in adversity. They remembered the churning sea, the weary pilgrimage across the wilderness, the soaring mountains where they had met God. Could these moments of faith overshadow the darkness of their recent failure? Yet, doubt lingered like a heavy cloud. As they stood on the brink of a tumultuous journey towards redemption, the questions remained: how do we build trust with a God whom we have spurned? And in the steps of our return, will we find that we are truly known, or will we only meet reminders of our own shortcomings? Moses felt the pull of divine mystery, aware that their collective path to restoration was just beginning. The road ahead would not be easy, but it promised the unveiling of depth that could only emerge through trials faced together. Would this moment of reckoning usher in healing, or would it lead them deeper into despair? The silence bore the weight of their uncharted journey, and it beckoned with one unresolved question: in our quest for belonging, how far must we journey to rediscover the essence of our faith? Moses stood before his people, acutely aware that each passing moment held the fragile nature of hope intertwined with trepidation. The questions, now echoing like a drumbeat in his mind, grew louder as the people's anxious faces remained fixed upon him. The sun continued to rise, casting long shadows that seemed to whisper the tales of where they had strayed. "Gather your families," Moses instructed, his voice steady but urgent. "You must prepare your hearts and minds. Tonight, we will offer a sacrifice, a sign of our repentance and yearning for His mercy. As the day moved forward, the children played beneath the watchful eyes of their parents. Yet, in the spirit of those lighter moments, something somber lingered just below the surface of their laughter. With every skipped stone and burst of joy, the echo of choices made thrummed in the air. It felt as though innocence was battling against the encroaching weight of guilt. In the evening light, shadows cascaded over the camp as they gathered around an altar, a makeshift gathering of stones adorned with simple offerings. Moses, still holding the tablets, his heart pulsating with the gravity of this moment, began to lead them. His voice rose, invoking the covenant once made, the promise etched not only upon stones but deep within their souls. As the flames leapt into the air, casting flickering light upon their faces, Moses spoke not just as a leader but as a fellow seeker of grace. "This offering is a reflection of our broken hearts. Through smoke and flame, we cast into the heavens our sorrow, our guilt, and our desire for renewal." With every soul around him, he sensed their fear intertwining with a flicker of resiliency, a yearning for trust and connection. Yet, doubt loomed like a distant storm. "Will we be heard?" A voice broke through the crackling fire, laden with uncertainty. "Indeed, your prayer rises before Him, as fragrant incense," Moses affirmed, but he could feel the weight of that question. Was their plea so stained by past transgressions that it might never reach the ears of the Almighty? He shared their anguish and sought the depth of grace that only a benevolent God could provide. As the night enveloped them, recounting stories of ages past, of the promises made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Moses felt a swell of determination. "Remember," he urged, "we were not merely brought out of bondage for the sake of freedom alone. We were chosen to become a people who know the heart of their Creator. In knowing Him, our fragments are woven back together. Our past cannot dictate our future unless we allow it to." Just then, a young woman stepped forward, her eyes glistening like stars against the dark canvas of night. "But what if our faith falters again? Will we be cast aside once more?" Her vulnerability resonated like a siren, piercing through the murmur of the crowd. Moses felt the weight of her question bear down upon him. He knew well the frailty of human resolve. Our assurance lies in His unwavering love, not in our perfection. The journey calls us to rise after we fall, to trust even when doubt claws at our heart. The core of our journey is not unwavering strength, but a deep and abiding faith that says we are loved despite our incompletions. The flickering flames cast shadows on their faces, revealing a spectrum of emotions: hope, fear, longing, and despair. It was a kaleidoscope of humanity wrestling with its spiritual essence. Would they be able to embrace the breadth of grace on offer, one that was not conditional upon their ability to adhere perfectly? As they stood united in prayer, a collective breath hung in the air, a gentle reminder of their shared humanity. Could this act of vulnerability allow them to forge a new beginning together, one cleansing enough to wash away the echoes of shame? The question lingered, a specter in the night: in what ways can we embrace our brokenness as the foundation for a new journey towards belonging? As the flickering flames danced and the night deepened, the solemnity of their gathering intensified. The air was thick with the scent of burnt offerings, lingering alongside their whispered prayers. Each voice, trembling yet resolved, wove a tapestry of longing. They sought not just forgiveness but a renewed path forward, a rekindling of their place in the divine story. Yet still, shadows loomed in their hearts. Moses, sensing the weight of their anxieties, turned his attention once more to the heavens. "Brothers and sisters," he called, his voice rising above the crackle of the fire, "tonight we stand at a crossroads. We have journeyed far, but the route ahead is uncertain. The Lord our God is not a distant specter but a living presence among us. With every step we take, we tread sacred ground. May we choose wisely. Suddenly, an unseen rustle broke the weighty silence as a figure emerged from the darkness. It was Aaron, his brother, with a countenance that stormed between urgency and trepidation. "Moses!" he shouted, drawing closer to the firelight. I felt a stirring in my spirit as I walked by the tent. "A message has come from the Lord." Silence enveloped them as anticipation electrified the air. What revelation might Aaron bring? They leaned closer, faces illuminated by the glow of fire, questions brimming behind their eyes. Would this message bring them clarity or further confusion? "The Lord speaks of our journey again," Aaron began, his voice steady. "He says, I will not abandon you in your struggle. I will send a sign, and you shall know my presence is with you. But beware. For temptation lurks, and the path to grace is not without its trials." The murmurs among the crowd swelled, some eyes gleaming with hope, while others narrowed in apprehension. "A sign," one of the elders proclaimed. "What will it be?" "Be still," Moses commanded gently, raising his hand. His heart drummed beneath his robes. "Let us first seek understanding." He looked into Aaron's eyes, urging him to continue. "The sign will come with the rising of the sun, a manifestation of light that will stretch across the horizon," Aaron explained, his words imbued with reverence. "But he requires of us our readiness. We must prepare our hearts to accept what is to come. Not all will find joy in the response. Some may turn away." Moses felt the weight of the message settle heavily upon them. A sign to lead them or a test of faith, either way, it called for introspection. Would they be ready to receive a revelation that might challenge their understanding of God's ways? With each breath hung a question poised upon their lips. Were they prepared to embrace the truth, however shattering it might be? The crowd stirred again, vibrant discussion sparking, dreams woven with visions of divine intervention mingling with fear of impending judgment. Moses gathered their dispersed energies, raising his arms to silence their growing clamor. "We shall not shy away from the truth, whatever form it may take. We must acknowledge our fears, our doubts, and remain open to the mystery of His will." As the stars twinkled overhead, Moses felt a stillness settle within him. Flashes of courage and fear danced across the faces of his people, their reflections caught in the flames, each a flicker of the divine within. Who are we, if not a people created for such a time? Remember the stories told how our ancestors stumbled, yet found grace in their failures. He felt a swell of emotion, a connection that bound them together. As the fire crackled, a sudden thought struck him. When the sign comes, will we recognize it? With hearts filled with the hopes and fears, will we open ourselves to its true meaning? Or will we falter in our understanding, allowing our previous transgressions to define us once more? Moses fell silent, looking among them, their faces caught in the dance of uncertainty and yearning. With a heart burdened yet hopeful, he wondered, in what ways will we respond to the signs presented before us, and will our faith be strong enough to guide us through the unknown? As dawn began to brush the horizon with hues of gold and lavender, the camp stirred with anticipation. The flickering embers of the night fire dwindled, replaced by the soft light of first light. Moses stood at the edge of the encampment, his heart echoing with the weight of the message they had received. He gazed upon his people, gathered around in murmurs, their faces both illuminated by the rising sun and clouded with uncertainty. The sun had not yet fully emerged when a hush enveloped them, as if the entire world paused to bear witness. The moment summoned a deep reflection, what it meant to honor the divine presence, to hear and heed the call of a God who chose to guide them. Moses felt a stirring in his own spirit, a compulsion to guide them more deeply. "Brothers and sisters," he spoke, his voice rising with the light, "we await the sign that has been foretold. But let us take this time to prepare ourselves not only for what is to come, but for what we must confront within ourselves. The greatest revelation often lies not in the signs we seek, but in how we are transformed in the face of them." A nervous murmur erupted among the people. Was it the sign they yearned for, or the truth they dreaded? In their hearts, they grappled with both questions. Moses stepped closer to them, his eyes serious yet compassionate, seeking to pull them deeper into the moment. "Consider the stories of our forebears, their trials, their struggles. Each one was marked by moments when the divine intersected their paths in ways that turned their world upside down. Did we not hear of Abraham's hesitance to leave his home, or Jacob's wrestling with the angel? Did these moments not ask more of them than they were prepared to give? He noticed a young woman, Miriam, her brow furrowed in reflection. But Moses, she interjected, was it not the very fear of change that sparked their transformation? Aren't we afraid now, as they were? Her question hung in the air, returning the focus to the heart of the matter. Moses nodded slowly, acknowledging the truth in her words. Indeed, fear can be a powerful shadow, both paralyzing and illuminating. In the silent chambers of our hearts, fear and faith wrestle for the final claim. When the sign arises, will we let our fears overshadow the promise of transformation? A deep silence followed as they pondered his words, visions of their past mingling with the possibilities of their future. The air thickened as they exchanged glances, eyes reflecting a myriad of emotions: hope, anxiety, and a quiet yearning for clarity. As he watched the group, it became clear that what lay before them was not just a singular sign but a series of choices that would echo through their lives. Each individual faced their own crossroad, and Moses recognized it was not only the physical journey they were to undertake, but a profound spiritual odyssey as well, a path that demanded an awakening of their inner truths. In the face of the divine, he continued softly, we must choose courage over comfort. The sign we seek will not only reveal the presence of God among us but will also ask us to shed our complacency. It requires a resilience that may feel daunting, but remember, we are not alone in this. As the sun rose higher, scattering light across the valley, Moses felt a gripping question arise within. Could they truly welcome the light if it also illuminated the shadows? Would they be ready to confront not just the mystery of God's plan but also the mystery of their own hearts? With a deepened sense of purpose and introspection, he looked at his people and wondered, what revelations lie in waiting for us, and what truths might we uncover as we embark on this sacred journey together? The sun continued to rise, its warmth embracing the camp as silence wrapped around them like a thin veil. The soft sounds of morning came alive, a chorus of birdsong and rustling leaves that played alongside the rhythmic thrum of their anxious hearts. Moses could see the weight of his words settling into the souls of his people. They were not merely listeners, they were seekers, yearning to understand the unfolding mystery of their path. As the light grew stronger, illuminating the landscape around them, an unexpected visitor emerged from the shadows of the nearby woods, a man of ragged appearance, with wild hair and eyes that sparkled with untamed wisdom. He strode into the encampment, unannounced, as if pulled by an invisible thread that guided him to this very moment. The camp hushed, curiosity and unease mingling as they took in this apparition of the wilderness. Who are you? Moses called out, his voice steady yet curious, with an undertone of authority as leader of the people. The figure halted at the edge, a magnetic energy radiating from within him. He took a deep breath and spoke with a voice that seemed to echo from the depths of time. I am a watcher of the winds and a whisperer of lost truths, sent to remind you of the power that lies within the choices you make. I have seen your journey and felt the pulse of your longing. Recognition flickered in the eyes of some, tales of watchers and prophets passed through generations swirling in the air, coloring their imaginations. Moses took a step forward, intrigued. What truth? What choice must we face? The presence of the wild man seemed to fill the space, thickening the air as he gathered himself, casting his gaze upon the people gathered in expectation. You stand at the crossroads of destiny. The sign you await is not just a signal of divine presence, but an unmasking of self. You seek a miracle, yet it is your own hearts that must break open to reveal the depth of who you are meant to become. With each word, a growing energy surged through Moses and the community, a vivid awakening to their true purpose. The wild man continued, weaving tales of those who had walked paths shrouded in fear and doubt, men and women who had encountered the divine and emerged transformed. Think of the desert, he urged them. Such a stark, hostile place becomes a space of revelation, where the sand and sun strip away illusions. Can you bear to enter your own desert of truth? Miriam, emboldened by the strangeness of the moment, spoke up. But what if the truths we uncover are too great to bear? What if they reveal our weaknesses? our failures. There was a murmur of agreement. The prospect was daunting. The air thickened with unspoken fears. The wild man met her gaze, a smile breaking through the wildness of his features. Ah, but therein lies the paradox. Our weaknesses can be our strengths. When the light shines, it reveals all our vulnerabilities and our strengths alike. In acceptance, you may find healing, in courage, growth. The divine does not seek perfection but authenticity. Each of you is a vessel of potential yet unexpressed. Moses felt a stir of recognition at his words, a deeper understanding settling within him like an anchor in a storm. Is it possible, he questioned, that in this moment of vulnerability lies the true miracle we seek? The ability to confront not just the challenge before us but the hidden truths within us? Yes. The wild man responded passionately, his voice rising. Your struggles are part of your story, much like the stories of your ancestors. Do not be afraid to embrace the entirety of your journey. Can you journey into this unknown with faith that you will emerge transformed? Will you allow the light to reveal both your darkest nights and brightest days? As the sun crested higher, illuminating the camp in full glory, a collective breath was held. The camp faced not just the unknown ahead but the courage required to delve into the depths of their own souls. Excitement mingled with fear as they wrestled internally, thoughts dancing between hope and hesitation. Moses stepped back slightly, taking in his people's contemplative expressions, each one reflecting a battle of faith. In that moment, he realized that the true sign awaited them not as a singular event in the divine plan but as ongoing revelations that would emerge from their willingness to explore their innermost depths. As the wild man's presence began to radiate warmth like the sun rising over the horizon, Moses felt a stirring within him, a seed of inquiry that begged to be acknowledged. Would they be brave enough to journey within themselves, unearthing the power of their own stories? What light awaited them in the shadows of their fears, and what miracles might blossom from their willingness to confront this divine paradox? The sun ascended higher still, pouring a golden hue over the camp as the wild man in ragged robes lingered, seeming to absorb the collective desire of the gathered. Moses felt the energy shift, an expectation hanging thick in the air as the people's eyes glittered with a mix of eagerness and anxiety. Questions loomed, begging for answers yet unyielding to easy resolutions. Tell us more, a voice called out from the crowd, a young man, his features sharp yet softened by uncertainty. What must we do? How do we seek this truth within us that you speak of? The wild man inclined his head, a knowing smile forming as if he had anticipated this plea. The journey of discovery starts not with the steps you take outward, but with the listening you do inward. Each heart carries a melody unique to its own experience. What you must seek are those melodies hidden beneath mundane rhythms of life. Reflect upon your stories, your struggles and triumphs. Listen carefully, and you will find the threads that bind you together. Moses nodded thoughtfully. The importance of listening echoed in his mind. And what if we do not know where to begin? He asked, his curiosity piqued and a spark of fear flickering within. The wild man raised his hand, gesturing towards the vast expanse of the desert that stretched beyond the mountains. Consider this land. It is not merely a desolate wilderness, it is a place of truth. Embrace the silence of the desert as you would embrace a long-lost friend. In that pause, truths will rise like mirages, revealing themselves not as illusions, but as realities waiting to be accepted. What dwells in the silence will guide the way. As the words settled among them, a hush enveloped the encampment, reverberating with a sense of sacred stillness. Each person stood still, contemplating the vastness of their own inner deserts, where truths mingled with shadows. Miriam looked to her brother and then to the wild man, her expression resolute. We must not shy away from the silence, then, she affirmed. If the desert reveals the essence of our faith, then we must venture forth, no matter how daunting. Indeed, replied the wild man, his eyes sparkling with approval. He turned slightly, scanning the immediate surroundings. But remember, the choice to enter the inner landscape is yours alone. The divine whispers through the quiet, but the courage to acknowledge its call lies within you. As the sun dipped slightly, casting elongated shadows upon the ground, a rustling breeze carried whispers of uncertainty through the assembly. The people began to share glances laden with stories half-told and dreams long abandoned. Anze, a woman who had known great loss, stepped forward hesitantly. How do we confront the pain of our stories? The anger, the grief, how do we bring those to light? The wild man's expression softened. In the sharing of pain lies the healing for the community. Each story holds a sacred piece of who you are. The act of revealing brings transformation, not just for the individual but for the whole. You carry the wisdom of your ancestors within you, allow it to flow, and healing will blossom. As night crept in, a cool breeze brushed against their skins, and the campfire flickered to life, illuminating their faces with a soft glow. The gathering morphed into a storytelling circle, where voices overlapping wove a tapestry of collective grief and joy. Moses felt a stirring inside him, something like the thirst of a wanderer in the desert. He sensed that the wilderness surrounding them was both a metaphor and a literal challenge they had to brave individually and collectively. Yet, uncertainty plagued him as he observed the fragile threads of their stories being birthed through shared vulnerability. What awaited them as they spoke the truths long veiled? Would this journey into their inner wilderness bind them closer together, or would it unravel the very fabric of their community? As the stars twinkled overhead, an aching question lingered in the stillness. If they embraced their hidden stories, would they find not only strength but also the miracle of connection? The fire crackled softly as stories flowed beneath the infinite sky dotted with stars, each one a new thread woven into the fabric of their identity. The young man who had first spoken sat beside Anze, his brow furrowed with concentration as he listened to her recount tales of loss and resilience. What appeared just moments ago as a gathering suggested by the wild man now felt like a sacred exercise, a confluence of spirits seeking to uncover deeper truths within the space of shared vulnerability. As Anze concluded her story, the circle fell into a reflective silence, the weight of her words hanging delicately in the air. A sense of urgency stirred within Moses. He understood that the hour was fast approaching where words must give way to action. He sensed the precarious balance they were teetering upon, a moment when revelation could either galvanize or fracture. The wild man's earlier words echoed in his mind, the courage to acknowledge its call lies within you. Can we speak the unspeakable? He asked, his voice firm yet gentle. Can we share not just our triumphs, but also the shadows that cling to us, our doubts and fears? Anze nodded, tears gathering in the corners of her eyes. We must, Moses. For if we hide our darkness, how can we ever hope to reveal our light? The wild man interjected, his voice resonating with wisdom. What is darkness if not a teacher? It molds the spirit into something more resilient. Do not shy away from it, but rather invite it to sit at your table as an honored guest. Only in acknowledging it can you hope to navigate the path ahead. A murmur of agreement rippled across the gathering, but a new voice arose from the shadows, an older man named Eli, wearing the weight of years etched upon his face. What if we find anger amongst our stories? What if we hold blame, even toward the divine? How do we reconcile our cries for justice and our grief with faith? Moses felt a chill run through the circle. It was an almost taboo question, one that twisted in the mind like a thorn. The wild man regarded Eli with an understanding gaze. To bring your anger to light is to claim your truth. The one who walks with you in this wilderness knows your distress. Even in your questioning lies a form of belief, a stubborn clinging to the notion that justice is possible. To question is to be alive in your spirit. Eli looked down, contemplating the weight of those words. In a land rife with injustice and suffering, could the act of voicing their darkest fears offer a path to healing? Around the fire, the sense of courage swelled, urging others to join in. Miriam felt the fire within her flare. Perhaps our hidden struggles and our resentments are the very keys that will unlock our unity. By sharing our truths, even when they threaten to divide us, we can begin to stitch together the torn cloth of our community. Yet, Anze added tentatively, in laying bare our truths, do we not risk destroying the connections we hold dear? What if our revelations lead to division rather than strength? The wild man smiled, the flickering flames dancing in the depth of his eyes. The answer, dear ones, lies not in the stories themselves, but in how you choose to listen and respond. In sincere listening, you will find a deep river of compassion flowing between you. It is the bridge that transforms fear into understanding. As night deepened, Moses observed the gentle eagerness in the faces lit by the bonfire, the glimmers of hope tempered by uncertainty. Intimacy hung in the air, laden with unsaid emotions, the softest of breaths revealing an openness to risk. Could their willingness to share their full truth bind them closer than ever before, even if facing moments of distress and anger? The question spiraled within him, refusing to settle. Would they find a miracle of connection in their vulnerability, or would they uncover deeper divisions that had remained dormant? With each heartbeat, the fire pulsed, illuminating their essence, urging them to choose courage over fear. Moses stood at the edge of the circle, the warmth of the fire illuminating the faces of his people as they shared their truths in the night. He felt a rushing tide, a swelling anticipation of something monumental about to unfold. The stories being shared were like threads weaving together a tapestry of grief and resilience, hope and redemption. In the embrace of darkness, beneath the celestial canopy, they began to reveal their innermost struggles, echoes of anger, loss, and yearning that had been buried deep within their hearts. Each voice that rose into the night, though laden with pain, also carried a glimmering spark of strength. Moses could feel the energy shift. The sacred act of confession was breaking open not only their individual hearts but the communal heart that bound them together. Anze spoke again, her voice trembling yet resolute. As we share our burdens, I feel the weight of our shame begin to lift. But how do we move forward? How do we integrate these painful truths into a collective healing? Her question hung in the air, resonating with many who still carried the burden of regret and doubt. The wild man nodded sagely, stepping closer to the fire, his presence a comforting reminder of the deeper connection they all shared. Healing begins with acceptance, accepting not just the joyous moments but the whole tapestry of your existence, with all its frayed edges. It is in acknowledging the pain that you can begin to understand the blessings that coexist with it. You must allow yourselves to be raw, to be real. Moses felt the weight of those words penetrate deeply, stirring within him a realization. We are called not just to share our struggles, but to embody the truth we uncover. This journey is not about perfection, it is about transformation. The divine presence does not condemn us for our doubts, instead, it invites us to walk through them with faith, however shaky it may feel. Miriam's eyes sparkled with newfound determination. Then let us build from this moment. Let us not regard our anger, our fears, as weaknesses that might shatter our unity. Instead, let them be the rubble from which we reconstruct a community grounded in compassion. In the rawness of our honest revelations, we might just find a path forward. The wild man smiled, and the energy in the camp shifted dramatically, a collective awareness dawning upon them. The vulnerability being shared had laid the groundwork for something sacred, a web of connection that enveloped them in the warmth of understanding. At that moment, a bright light broke through the darkness that surrounded them, illuminating the ground like a divine spotlight. The people gasped, eyes widening in amazement, every heart holding its breath. A glowing presence appeared before them, a majestic figure radiating love and mercy. The air crackled with an electric charge, reverberating through the assembly. In voice that resonated like thunder in harmony with the silence, the presence spoke, "My dear children, you have torn down the walls that held you captive. The honesty of your souls has paved the way for my presence to dwell among you. In this moment of rekindled faith and communal integrity, I offer you not merely a sign but a promise. The burdens you lay down shall be lifted, and through this vulnerability, you will find strength." With that declaration, the light expanded, washing over them, enveloping each individual in warmth and understanding, healing the remnants of their collective wounds. Moses felt tears well in his eyes as the glorious radiance illuminated the very core of their beings. Each person felt their hearts beat as one, a symphony of transformation and grace. The wild man, now transformed as well, stood beside Moses, his countenance reflecting the light. "You have witnessed your truth, and in doing so, you have ignited the flame of hope. Together, you will journey through the desert," the divine presence continued, "but know this, the wilderness will not be barren, it holds the promise of renewal. As you traverse these trials, carry your stories with you. They will be both your Compass and your shelter, the people, emboldened by the light, began to lift their voices in unity, a chorus of gratitude and resolve. The words flowed from their lips, a timeless hymn that declared their belonging and their commitment to one another. Together, we shall walk forward, rooted in truth, grounded in faith, and united in love. Each voice flourished into the night, a powerful declaration that would transcend the stars themselves. Moses, standing before them, felt a surge of enlightenment, a revelation elevating his spirit. Ours is not simply a tale of wandering. It is a continuous unfolding of our humanity, he proclaimed. In turning back to the divine, we find not just solace but a mandate to embrace our communal story. Thus, when we trust through the shadows, we shall witness the dawn break anew. As the light continued to shine, illuminating their shared journey, the eternal truths that had been etched upon their hearts came to life. The sense of wholeness began to envelop them, and in that divine embrace, they realized together, they were not merely survivors of wilderness, they were now a community intertwined by faith. From that day forward, the moments of challenge revealed gifts of self-discovery, lessons endured under the vast skies of their pilgrimage. Like a river flowing forward, they moved as one, guided by the memories of their triumphs and failures and transformed by the courage to share their truths. In the heart of the wilderness, they birthed a legacy built upon faith, authenticity, and connection, a legacy that would ripple through generations. Their stories intertwined like roots of a mighty tree, nurtured by love and reconciliation. And in that revelation, a seed was planted, an enduring reminder that in the journey of faith, embracing the depths of one's struggles can become the foundation upon which an unshakable community of hope is built. They would continue to walk together, discovering that every step taken in vulnerability opens paths to incredible grace, echoing into eternity.